Hey friend, welcome to the Self-Care Isn't Selfish podcast. I'm your host, Emily Nichols. As a Whole30 certified coach, wife, busy working boy mom, and your self-care guru, I'm here to help you start putting yourself first without the guilt. Each week you'll hear motivating and practical tips on how you can create a habit of self-care through interviews with my amazing guests or quick solo episodes with me. After each episode, you'll walk away with an action plan and feel empowered to implement what you have learned into your life. So, grab a cup of coffee, glass of wine, or your favorite sparkling water, and let's do this. You're listening to episode 27 of the Self-Care Isn't Selfish podcast. This self-care quickie tip is inspired by my husband, Dustin. So for my quickie tips, I'm always looking for inspiration and putting notes in my phone when I hear something that I think would resonate with you. And bless his little heart, he listens to a few different podcasts, including mine. Thanks, babe. But he was listening to one with an Olympic runner talking. And he sent me the link to this quote that he had stated during this podcast interview about something his coach always told him. So this is an Olympic runner. This is what his coach always told him. He said, "Fear and anxiety live in the future, and regret and remorse live in the past. None of these emotions exist in the present, and there is power in those emotions." Isn't that good? Fear and anxiety live in the future, and regret and remorse live in the past. You know, within this interview, he kept telling him, just run the race you're in. Don't think about in the past, when maybe you had a really bad race, or don't think about what could happen in this upcoming race. Just focus on the now and run your race. I think this applies so much to your life. I know for me, I can be a worrier sometimes, thinking about, oh, what if this happens, or what if that happens, or thinking back to past experiences that maybe didn't go as planned, or I put a bad taste in my mouth. And those emotions shouldn't have any power over you. It's what ifs and what did happen in the past. You can't change things. All you can do is live in the now. So that's what I want to focus on for this quickie tip episode, is thinking of ways of how you can live in the now and enjoy every moment of your life instead of being paralyzed by fear or anxiety or remorse. So my first tip to live in the now, smile. Are you smiling right now? I am. If you've ever taken a class with me, I always say, hey gang, just smile through the pain. It's going to trick your mind. And it's so true. When you smile, you automatically feel happier, whether you're gritting your teeth through a really hard move, or if you're just having a sad moment. If you're able to smile through it, it really can trick your mind into thinking you're happy. So I hope you smile today and help you live in the moment. My second tip is to focus on solutions, not problems. You may be facing a problem that you've had in the past, or thinking of something that could happen in the future. If or when something does happen, if you just focus on, this situation is so crappy, running a race, for example, say you have digestive issues during the race and you're like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And then you just keep running and running and running. And this is a really bad analogy. You get so uncomfortable. Your stomach is twisting in knots. And finally, you number 2 all over yourself. I can't believe I just said that, but it's true. It's a really poopy scenario. So why not focus on the solution? Find a porta potty, find a ditch somewhere to get rid of that crap and get going with your race. So focus on the solutions, not the problems. That's a really gross analogy, but whatever, I'm rolling with it. Number 3, avoid outside influences. We all have some people in our lives that are maybe a little negative. Or have you ever had this situation? I have had this in a previous job where Someone only focused on the past. Well, back in the old days, it was like this. Or, I wish it went back to like this and isn't the way it is now. You can wish all you want, but you just have to accept for what is in the present and keep moving forward. But if you have someone in your life that just keeps bringing up the past or, oh, what could happen, or they're just super negative, that's not going to put you in the right mindset to focus on the now and be positive. So maybe avoid some of those outside influences, such as negative people or even people on social media that could have a negative influence on your life as well. And my last one is just to be mindful. You need to find some ways to calm your mind, because I know there's been plenty of times I've laid there in bed and thought, oh, I should be doing this, or what if this happens, or I wonder if I could do this, or oh, I lock the door, oh, did I do this, did I do that? Your mind is just racing with the what ifs on top of all the other things going on in your life. You need to find a way to calm your mind. So that could be a breathing technique. One that I really like is I like to breathe in for 5 seconds. Let's do it together. Breathe in. And then breathe out for 5 seconds. That automatically just made me feel calmer. I hope it did too for you. Another thing you could think about is movement. When you're moving your body, getting out in nature, doing a workout class, that can really help calm your mind. And another one that I've mentioned numerous times with my guests as well on the show is meditation. Now, like Stacey Bloomy said a couple episodes back on the mind-body connection, make sure your mind is present in your body, though, when you are attempting to meditate. What can you do to bring yourself back into the moment? The first time I ever took some yoga classes, it was way back before I had kids. I took them every Monday night, and I took them it was like at 7:30 or 8. Well, I remember I would come home, and my husband would be watching 24. You guys remember that show with Jack Bauer? But I would come home, and I would feel so calm. But I remember during those first yoga classes I ever took, at the end, we'd be sitting there doing some mindful breathing techniques, meditating. And she said something that still sticks with me today. And she would said, if your mind wanders, if a random thought pops in your head, acknowledge it, but then move it aside. Acknowledge that thought, and then just move it aside. So I kind of do the same thing now. When I have certain thoughts pop into my head, whether it be from the past or thinking about the future, and I feel anxious or remorseful about it, you can just acknowledge that thought, move on, smile, and just be in the moment. And that, my friends, is a high form of self-care. So I want you to take these tips with you this week. If you find yourself feeling anxious about the past or the future, just live in the moment now. Breathe through it, smile through it, find ways to live in the moment today. I so appreciate you listening to this episode. Take a screenshot and tag me in your stories at EmilyNichols22 or at Self Care Isn't Selfish Podcast. Let me know your biggest takeaways, how you're living in the moment now. And if you loved today's episode, I would love it if you would leave a rating and review in iTunes. It makes this show so much easier for others to find. I just mentioned in my Instagram stories today, I don't do this show for me. I do it for you all to help inspire you to be the best version of yourself, to take care of yourself and not feel guilty about it. And I want to help spread that message, and you leaving a rating or review helps the podcast be a lot easier to find. So thanks again for listening, y'all. I love you all so much. I appreciate you. Let's live in the now, okay? See you next week.